Hello, welcome, Cabbage here. In Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, let's react to the final boss fight and then the ending. I put up reactions to the Dragon's Tears story thing. I'll link to that below. But here we are far under Hyrule Castle, and we see Ganon. Apparently, you never see, or you never come across Ganon in Breath of the Wild. So this is kind of paying off both games. This is a direct sequel. And then I am playing with the Japanese voice acting. That'll give me a chance to talk about that. Talk about what it's trying to accomplish. I didn't talk about this in the Dragon's Tears reaction video. But I feel like with the English voice acting, you know, it's much more, there's much more emphasis placed on the words said, rather than the quality of the voice and like the tone of delivery, which is super duper important in Japanese and is kind of its own language. Ganon looks super cool in this game. And often in Japanese pop culture, where there are like heroes and villains, they will flash the name of the bad guy when they kind of introduce themselves. He looks super cool though, with a samurai sword there. Alright, then we're going to get into some battles, although I'm not going to show very much. But now that I think about it, I kind of did a challenge run of Tears of the Kingdom. But check it out, I didn't use parries, I didn't use backflips or sidesteps, meaning I did not use any flurry rushes. So I didn't use kind of the more advanced battle techniques. I pretty much play the game like Link to the Past. But just run around, maybe block stuff, attack, throw stuff, use the bow. Oh, there's a backflip. But yeah, I think you could call this a challenge run, using sort of more basic combat techniques. But that was me just more being lazy and like not worrying about timing and all that. But this was pretty shocking to have the boss kind of backstepping me. Kind of felt a little bit Dark Souls-y. Not as difficult, of course, but yeah, it kind of reminded me of that. Okay, second form, Ganon, Demon King. I believe we saw this in a cutscene. And that HP bar keeps going and going. That's a pretty cool effect. And yeah, he looks like an Oni demon from kind of Japanese myth. Also with the kimono, with one arm off and that kind of long trailing sleeve. That's a Colgera jaw that I got from the depths. You can refight the bosses down there. And Colgero is very fun. It's fun to beat him without using any weapons. Just kind of dive through his icy parts of his body. Here, I thought the system was interesting, but I have a bunch of hearts kind of grayed out from Gloom. But like the main boss and then his images will do different kinds of damage. So actually, I can take a lot more hits than it looks like. If I stay away from the images and focus on the real one, and it's actually pretty lenient, I would say. But since I have gone through and then kind of unlocked all the sages before going into this battle, they all appear here, along with images. Apparently, if you come in here with no sages, there will be no images. And I think this is the third form. It's just him and me. I found that if you get him to kind of backstep into the wall, he won't leave very much. But yeah, there we see that he hits us. He will kind of lower our total heart containers. But that actually works to our advantage because I have so many to begin with. He can take away those gloomed hearts as much as he likes. So yeah, that was actually not a very difficult battle. And then I watched like a dozen people react to the boss battle and the ending. And everybody was very surprised at Ganon eating the Magatama here to become a dragon. And I talked about this in my payoffs and setups video, which I'll also link to below. But like, so much of the setup was to kind of act as the big climax where Zelda eats her Magatama. And we're all like, oh my god, that's amazing. And we were not expecting that setup to pay off again, which was part of the reason why this Ganon was so surprising. But super, super cool. And then the music here, the dragon music. Very powerful. I have missed like a ton of Zelda games. Ocarina of Time was the last one before this one. So there are a lot of references to themes, apparently, of different characters, and I'm missing a lot of them. But there are some Ganon themes from like Ocarina of Time and earlier, so I can catch those. But this feels so Ghibli. Kind of reminds me of the end of Mononoke, when I think it's the god of the forest gets real big. And then I feel like the lens choice, I'm a fan of photography, but the lens choice here really adds kind of to the drama, and it kind of makes you feel like we're more there, or it feels like the news is covering it. But there, I saw somebody point out that the nose on this dragon looks like kind of the pig nose on the old school Ganon, and I thought that was such a cool kind of pickup, cool thing to reference in the design here. But here we are, very small and insignificant. And then Zelda pays off again. Oh my god, very dramatic moment. I think part of the reason why we feel so much for Zelda here is that, like, the legend is that when you eat the Magatama to become a dragon, you lose yourself. But we can kind of get, like, hints that Zelda has some kind of, like, subconsciousness. She hasn't totally lost herself. Maybe that is shown in her leaving the tears behind. Leaving her memories behind, kind of like as a trail, you know, that Link can follow. And then we see again here, where she seems to be acting very kind of assertively and like with intent to catch Link here to help him fight the Ganon dragon. So the idea that she is fighting even through this kind of like imprisonment of her mind and her body, it's also very moving. And then here I was like, what? We have to fight this thing? And to have it to shift right into like a battle, you know, with the hearts menu and all that. Very thrilling. Oh my god. Okay, but here we are above the depths. So we heal the gloom hearts. And I filled my HP there. And at this point I was like, oh my god, what do I even do? But there is the button prompt to tell you to jump off, so I figure that's what I had to do. But Ganon shooting fireballs at us. And I'm just taking in this scene. This is so amazing. But with the dragon, if you hit them in particular places, you can get stuff like scales or horns. Nothing to get here, I guess. But let's change my costume. Let's get something more practical. What I have on now is for the gloom. I'm going to go for the glide outfit. So that maybe it can help me kind of approach this dragon. Look at this. Alright, so we're going to glide down to the face. I'm trying to see, trying to find out ways to do damage to this guy. But we get close and it starts to hit us with gloom. But it's like I guess part of it was like super gloom, where it's actually destroying the heart containers. And so here I'm going to put back my gloom outfit. So I didn't see anything on the head where maybe I could do damage, so here I'm just kind of scoping out the back. And then here, this is kind of suspicious. But then he picks up speed, can't really land on him. And now he's above me. So now I'm thinking, can we get back onto Zelda? Can she help us out? And sure enough, she comes over and picks us up. And I was like, what? How is this programmed? Is this actually programmed in 3D, where there's like, you know, like 3 layers, you know? There's a Ganon here in the middle, and then there's kind of top Zelda, where she drops you off, and then there's bottom Zelda, where she picks you up. So that was pretty impressive. But very seamless in playing it. But yeah, dropping off the second time, I kind of see this suspicious looking growth, I guess. So we'll get on there, we'll attack that. That will do damage to the boss. We take it down, it throws us off, and then we repeat the cycle, where we go back on Zelda, she brings us up, we jump off, until we've beaten all of the those growths, and then the world turns very red, and the blood moon comes out. So we'll have Zelda pick us up one more time. That's crazy. And then we see this glow on the boss's forehead. So now, I guess, is the timing to go after the head. Yeah, one of the most epic boss fights ever. Maybe comparable to this would be like fighting Metal Gear Rex in Metal Gear Solid. Alright. So we see the Magatama there again. Take it down. And And final attack. And with a blood moon in the background, that's cool. That was super duper cool how that boss fight was set up though. At first glance it seems so impossible. But then that just raises the heroism factor of Link. But yeah, I talked about it before, but Link is kind of that classic hero where he's not really a character. Kind of similar to like Indiana Jones or Luke Skywalker. Where we don't particularly want to be them, but we want to do what they do. That's the difference between a classical hero and like maybe what we would see with a more kind of relatable or flawed hero that we see these days. I still remember when I started this game, I saw dragons, you know, in the background, and I was like, dragons? This game doesn't need dragons. But it turned out to be the coolest thing. And super overdramatic death scene there. But it's paying off 2 games, basically, so I guess it had to be that big. And then we get the mission complete there, which is kind of quaint after all of that drama. And then our hand that we got from Raudu starts glowing. It's been triggered by, I guess, the death of Ganon. And for the cutscene, the shirt and helmet disappears. I'm assuming that that's just an executive decision by the developers, so that we have a more kind of presentable Link, not wearing like a silly mask or something. And the hand is reacting to Zelda. And then Raudu and Sonia reappear. And they lend me their power. Similar to how when Raudu and Ganondorf were fighting. And like Zelda lent her power to Raudu. But through this, through the power of light, through the power of time, we can restore Zelda. Yeah, before I talked about the sacrifice that Zelda made, and the trust that she put into Link and the Master Sword. And how Raudu and Sonia also placed their trust in Link. Tremendous responsibility that Link has, but he delivered. And so I and everyone else was like, oh, game's over. We'll get the final cutscenes here. But we're still in the sky. We gotta get down somehow. And then we see Zelda. one last little bit of drama, just to kind of like sum up everything, the last two games. And we even get to play it! I saw a lot of people reacting to this, you know? And they were having an emotional reaction. I was too. And I saw one person said, like, you know, why am I so emotional? There's nothing sad about this. This is great. But I think it's from relief. You know, the stakes, they are so raised during the game. They're raised so well that we really care. And then to have everything pay off and then wrap up almost perfectly. It is a sense of relief and satisfaction. And then that can be, you know, overwhelming to a point that we do get emotional about it. But yeah, I was so impressed playing the game, kind of more than anything in the story. How well it was structured, how well it paid off. And then watching other people react, you know, to the Dragon's Tears, to the ending, in a similar way, kind of reassured me, and I was like, okay, it's actually that good. But yeah, definitely one of the more surprising and then fulfilling experiences I've ever had with a video game. Alright, and then here it's all kind of coming back to Zelda after she's slept for, I don't know, centuries, millennia. She realizes that the entire plan that she kind of put into place worked out. And then here, I talked about this in the Tears of the Dragon reaction. But back then, when she's speaking about Link, she's looking right into the camera. And so I interpreted that, and I feel like it's also Nintendo's interpretation that when she's speaking about Link, or to Link, she's really speaking about us, or to us, the player. And it's looking right into the camera, which reinforces that. But yeah, we are Link, you know, we're doing these cool things through him. Yep, looking straight at us again. I think this also happened at the end of Breath of the Wild, but looking straight into the camera. Yeah, no cuts to Link. Link doesn't even exist. It's all about us. Alright, and that's the end of the game. There is a post-credits cutscene, but I'm not going to include that. Okay, really love the game. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again. Take care.